Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Talk Show. This podcast is dedicated to a growth mindset. You see, I believe that you know something that I don't know, and I also believe that I know something that you don't know. And the only way for each of us to both rise in our knowings is to sit in a room and talk about all the things. For those of you that are new to the show and love inspirational content like this, make sure you subscribe and like. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in.
We come to you every day. with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Talk Show. We have had over 500 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to the list today. If you're watching us live, welcome. And if you're watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love. Either way, if you are watching this video, if you could share it wherever you are, so we can get more eyes and more ears on the awesome content that we are about to share today. Her Talk Show. It's here to inspire you. It's here to have you thinking outside the box. Today, I'm speaking with an amazing woman named Jennifer Urezzio. Jennifer is the founder of Soul Language, a paradigm that puts tangibility to soul so a conscious connection can be established to enable crystal clear decisions for success. Oh, that just sounds beautiful. Jennifer is also a master intuitive and the author of 2 best-selling books. Currently, she has trained over 30 practitioners worldwide in soul language. Currently, there are over 5,000 individuals all over the world connecting to their soul languages. Welcome, lady. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I have to say this before we talk about anything else. Your hair is freaking amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Both of my parents have curly hair, curlier than mine.
Amazing.
So I'm the firstborn. I came with the curls. And then my sister came 3 years later with pitch black, pin straight, like Pocahontas hair.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
All growing up, I wanted her hair and she wanted my hair. I will say though, now at the ripe age of 40, I have fully embraced the hair, but kind of funny. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I am so excited to have you here and to dive into all the topics. There's just I love meeting people like you because there's just such a vast, array of things that we could talk about under your niche, under all of the things that you know, and even just your introduction, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this could go in so many different directions. But I love the topic of empathy or empaths, because, I resonate with that 100%. I'm assuming you do too.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, in my 20s, before I realized what all that was, I remember going into casino and playing 3 slot machines at once, going, what is going on? What is going on? I just would soak up that energy and that feeling. And it would result in chaos in my life until you realize how to utilize that power. It can be very disruptive and very confusing for an individual.
Yeah. So what was your journey to figuring this out? What happened? How did you find out?
I knew that there was something bigger inside of me. I just didn't have the words to that. And I didn't have the kind of conscious tools. And so I started out on a journey. I started asking those big questions, like, why am I here? I know my life purpose, which is being a powerful teacher of service in the spotlight. What do I do with that crazy title? And where are my people? Because I'm really mad. Like, I'm tired of feeling like a weirdo. And I, as you do when you ask big questions, people are put in your path. And I met this woman who was a master intuitive, a psychic, and I started studying with her. And I was like, oh, this is why I knew my grandmother was dead before my parents told me. Oh, this is why I could, like see the little sheep jumping over the fence when I was like 4. Like, oh, this is why I understand all those gifts and talents. And then it's about really working that muscle. And as you work on that muscle, you develop tools, and then you're teaching the next person. So I've been kind of working on my intuitive gifts and utilizing them to help people for the last 20 years.
Wow. No kidding. That is so interesting. So, can we talk for a moment about where you were as an empath before all these learnings, as far
Yeah.
as mental and emotionally?
Yeah. I can remember sitting, in high school, I think it was history class, going, why do I feel so weird? I feel like crying, but it doesn't feel like me, but I don't know why. I don't know how to put words to it. And remembering, turning around and looking at my classmate and seeing like tears in her eyes, right? I could feel what people were feeling. I had this sense of what was going on in their head. I could walk into a room in college and go to my boyfriend at the time, okay, they're sleeping together and they just had a fight. And he's like, how do you know all that? I was like, I can feel it. I just know. But knowing all of that didn't really help me to put clarity and words and utilize those gifts and talents. So it was like chaos in my head because I couldn't focus on my own dreams because I was collecting everyone else's goo and walking around of it. So just imagine for a moment that it's like Jacob Marley's chain, right? I'm dragging other people's energy all with me all the time. So I don't have enough life force to actually create what I want. So that was before. And I have warrior energy. So I created a lot of stuff, even with the chain. But after, it was like, whoa. So this is what it feels like just to have me in my head. Wow, I have a lot of energy. I get things instantly without having to actually feel someone's pain or feel their heartbreak. It's liberating and it's free, and you still can be of service, and I still know what's going on when I walk into a room. I just don't have to participate it, and it doesn't drag me down.
Yes, definitely. And I think so many of us, even if we don't necessarily resonate or understand what an empath is or who we are, I know that just that description that you gave, people are sitting right now and they know the empath in their life. They know
Yeah.
that one person who feels everyone else is feeling, is always trying to help everybody, is always like carrying this big luggage of like everybody else's issues with them. And then a lot of times not working on their own issues.
Well, not only that, I mean, they don't have the bandwidth to do it.
Yeah.
And they get told that they're too sensitive. Why are you
Yeah.
so sensitive? Right? Instead of going, okay, what are you feeling? Is it yours? And
Hmm.
let's kind of suss through that and see what you want to create and what do you get to let go. Right? It's always, there's so much kind of judgment about the way people should be. I was always told like, you're so sensitive, you're so aggressive. I'm like, really? Because I just asked for a pen. Like, how is that aggressive? Right? And when you really have that kind of freedom to go, oh, that's yours, this is mine,
Hmm.
then you have the ability to go, okay, how do I want to process what I feel? What is that, a pattern? Can I change that? Is that trying to give me some information to direct me in a certain way? Or is that, just years and years of lies that I've told myself, which aren't true, right? It's hard to actually create transformation if you're not creating transformation on your own patch of grass, right? If you're in everyone's backyard, you're never going to have time for your own transformation, and it's going to be harder, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this, what you're saying as far as, is it yours? Because I know that that is a tool that I use when I can feel myself starting to like grab onto other people's emotions or feelings, or like get deep, with something that isn't even any of my business, is I'll reconnect with myself and I'll say, this is not yours.
Yeah.
This is theirs.
I always tell people on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you want to eat cheese and sit on the couch, which is what I do when I'm sad, or 10, I feel great. You just tune in. 1 to 10, where am I? And then you take your left hand, put it on your right shoulder, and you ask again. This is you in your own space. Now, you might go up and you might go down, right? If you go down, what you're doing is you're bolstering yourself on other people's energy, right? If you go up, you're clinging or holding on to what's not yours, right? And so this is an easy way just to, because nobody knows what you're doing, just to go sit and go, oh, okay, so, I'm walking around in someone else's goo. Let me just offer it back to love.
Why left to right? Is there a thing with that?
Heart chakra, right? This helps. The left arm is connected to your heart. That's why you put the wedding ring on your left hand.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. By the way, what kind of cheese do you eat?
Oh my God. I eat any kind of cheese but Swiss. I don't even understand Swiss. Like American Swiss cheese, not really good Swiss cheese, like American Swiss cheese. I'm like, this is not cheese. This tastes like rubber. What are we doing? Right. But my favorite is the drunken goat cheese.
Drunken goat cheese?
Yeah, it's goat cheese made with wine. And then there's this cheese that my landlord gave me once for Christmas a couple of years ago, and we didn't keep the cheese, like the wrapper. And me and my boyfriend still dream about that cheese. It was some sort of Canterbury cheese, and we just talk about it. I mean, literally, it was like a $20 cheese, and we ate it in like 6 minutes. I was like, we need more of this cheese.
I totally get it. Some cheese is so freaking good.
So
It's
good.
just the best. And the cool thing is, when you get really good cheese, it doesn't like mess you up. What
No.
messes you up is just the deli
Processed.
processed. Yeah. That's the one that gets the bad rap. But then we say
Yeah.
all cheese, but it's really not. If you actually splurge, you're fine.
If you splurge, and like now we can get raw cheese as well, so that's even better for you.
Nice. I don't know if I've ever had raw cheese before.
Good.
So we are here to talk about empathy and the word power or superpower,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem to go in the same sentence.
But it does, because
Yeah, so let's talk
right,
about this.
let's think about it. If you're an empath, if you have the ability to understand and sense energy and what other people are feeling, and understand what's happening around you through a energetic physical response, that is a gift, right? Like any gift, it can be utilized for goodness or suffering, right? And so once you understand it's a gift, and you're not trying to do it with codependence, meaning you're not trying to feel or take on someone else's emotions so they feel better, so you can then feel better, right? But when you do it with consciousness, it can be of great service, because it gives you the ability to allow people to know and feel and trust you. It allows people to feel safe being vulnerable around you, right? It allows you to offer, really speak to their listening, because you instinctively know and feel what they're feeling. And when you talk to somebody, when you actually can understand what they feel seen and heard. And I know that one of the greatest desires for almost everyone on this planet is to be seen and heard. And so when people are really seen and heard, something in them opens up, and it allows for any pain or suffering that they've been carrying around to be set free.
Yes. So how does somebody, so they're listening, right? We have people here listening live and they're like, okay, I have a superpower. How does somebody start to utilize that? Because it's not just like, whoa, all of a sudden, all the things. What are some steps that somebody could take in order to really start honing in on what this means and how to use it?
Well, first they have to determine what's theirs and what someone else's, right? So you want to do that 1 to 10 thing every day, the morning. Well, how do I feel? And you want to keep checking in. Notice if you all of a sudden out of nowhere feeling not enough or strange or in fear, and just simply go, is this mine? And if it's not, it will fall away. If it is yours, then that gives you another opportunity to ask some other questions to kind of create some transformation. But once you understand what's yours and what someone else's, then you can start to utilize it as a superpower. And you can utilize it as a superpower in anything from having a conversation at work. If you understand that your coworker is feeling anger, which you don't even have to know where it's coming from, then you can actually start to address and maybe modify your tone, maybe offer them words of encouragement, maybe understand that that anger is not directed towards you and that they're just angry for some other reason. So often we're actually having conversations and being in relationship with energy that has nothing to do with us. And so once we understand that, we can really put something different into the relationship field, which will create something different in our lives, anything from freedom to success.
Absolutely. How does this align or overlap in business, in work?
Yeah, I think so often when you really have this understanding of what someone else is feeling and without any manipulation, right? It allows you to really speak to their listening. It allows you to craft your sales pitch. It allows you to actually talk freer. It allows you to read between the lines. I think so often people really don't say what they're feeling and thinking, right? But when you have a sense, when you have a deep knowing, oh, they're afraid, without manipulating them, you could just simply say, I'm sensing that you might be afraid. Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about what's being triggered here? Or do you want to talk about what's bothering you that's actually not getting you what you want, right?
Yeah.
So it allows you to have a deeper, more intimate conversation and relationship with people because you really understand them from the inside out.
Yes. When you say talk freer, can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think so often people are thinking about the conversation and not being in it. When you're actually in it, that allows you not to try to think what you're going to say next, but really be in that zone, really talk with what I would call that divine voice, right? So often I'll get people will say, oh my God, are you in my head? Kind of, I am in your head. Like I can feel that, right?
Yeah.
Or, oh my God, you just said what I was thinking. Well, yeah, I can feel all of that. It really allows you to have this conversation that's not laced with pleasantries or laced with, oh my God, I don't want to say anything because I'm afraid. It really allows you to be open and honest. And that's what I mean by freer.
Yeah. Looking at you right now, looking at me at this moment, it would be hard for somebody who is maybe just coming into the realization that they are an empath, or maybe they're just now listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I think that I might be an empath, like right now. um, it takes a moment to pivot into confidence, strength, power. What are some things that someone can look forward to if they decide to do the work in creating a journey around finding their strength in empathetic vibes? What can they look forward to?
Yeah, I think they can look forward to a life where they're not judging themselves at every turn, where they're not filled with worry. You might be filled with concern. That's different. Concern you can do something about. Worry you can't do anything about. You can look to a world where you feel really understood, where you feel at home in your own body, where you feel as though you're being seen and heard, where you just know to go right and you know that you're going to be safe and supported and provided for. It really allows you to tap into what people call flow, what people call abundance. It allows you to tap into that essential nature of goodness. I mean, that's how it's changed my life. I went from being really angry all the time to knowing that I'm whole and complete and acting on it. I went from, oh my God, I wish I had someone to love, to being in an amazing 8-year relationship with someone who just really gets me and I get him. From, working in corporate America in the last, 20 years, this is my growth for 20 years in corporate America, to owning in a business and being in business and successful for the last 20 years. It allows you to stop thinking about your dreams and start actually utilizing your energy to create it. And if you're thinking like, oh my God, I think I'm an empath, start to keep what I call an intuitive journal. Just write. Each morning go, what do I need to know today? And make some notes. And at the end of the day, read it and make some more notes. Oh, I was told to bring an umbrella and it wasn't forecast for rain and then it rained. Just so you start to understand how your soul, your intuitiveness is speaking to you, and start to understand how your empathic abilities work. For example, I mirror, okay? So when I'm being empathetic to someone and they have a pain in their shoulder and it's their left shoulder, I'm going to feel it in my right shoulder. I know that because I kept a journal and I would make notes. And I'm like, okay, Susan said that she had a pain in her right shoulder, but I felt it in my left. Okay, now I know I mirror, right? So you have an understanding. Your essential nature is going to use your database. I love Star Trek references. I love movie references. So I'll get that for a client and then I have to translate for that client, right? Unless they like Star Trek and then they get it instantly, right? But just so you understand how your soul, how your intuition works, or you're going to be walking around going, I'm getting all this information. I don't understand it.
Yes. I have a funny story about this that is not going to help your cause at all, but I have to share it. So I joke all the time, and I don't resonate, just so you know, and people listen know, I myself don't resonate with the intuitive part of empathy. I have never tapped into that. I've just never taken the time. I don't know if yes or no. I don't have an opinion on it. I've just never done that. But while you're talking, it made me think of, I have this joke of, I wear sandals and flat shoes all the time, just like the slip-on ballerina shoes. But sometimes I get this intuitive thought that zombies are going to take over the world today. And I wear my tennis shoes. And I always joke that if you see me walking around the world, like outside, and I'm wearing tennis shoes and not like flip-flops, or because I live in Florida, that day I
Might be a zombie.
yes, that zombies were coming and I would need my running shoes to run. It's like a real thing that happens. Like I'll be walking outside to go outside and I'll get this weird feeling and I'll go back and I will change my shoes out.
Now, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Here's a little lab test to do.
Okay.
So on those days where you think there's going to be a zombie attack,
okay,
right? At the end of the day, ask yourself, how did my tennis shoes come in handy today?
Okay.
And start to see what the theme is.
Okay.
Right? Because The zombie attack might actually mean that there was a day that you really needed to be more sturdy, more grounded, right? That you might have had to move a little differently, but start to notice if there's a theme, because the zombie attack could be a signal of a bigger theme in your life where your soul is trying to tell you something, and the zombie attack is your, what they call a tell. It's your signal.
Okay, I will do that.
I want to hear the results.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've never thought of this until you're talking. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder. So I will totally do that. At night, I will do a download of if I needed my tennis shoes that day. Did they help me?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Okay, very cool. Um, you said earlier worry versus concern. And I want us to talk about this because this I see all the time, and it within the world of empathy, of this worrying, just worrying about mom, worrying about brother, worrying about sister, worrying about kids, just constant worry. And you're saying the difference between worry and concern. Let's talk about this. Let's take a moment. Explain this to us.
This whole thing of worrying has several layers. The one of the layers is if a person has warrior energy and is empathetic, that they're worried about their mom or their brother or whatever, because they're feeling their vibration of the other person. Also because if their mom or their brother is safe, then I can finally relax. I'll feel safe, right? The difference between worry and concern is this. Concern you can do something about. Worry is just bup, 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 bup. And it comes from a sense of not feeling safe internally, of feeling lack internally. It also could come from trauma where you're constantly having to be on guard, right? So there's some things that you can actually do about that. But I always tell clients, okay, is this a worry or is this a concern? Concern is something I can do about. So I always use the car. Oh my God, I'm so worried about my brakes. Okay, let's go take the car to the shop and see if the brakes are okay, right? That's the difference. Or I'm so worried about my brother. I'm so worried about my brother. You know, my brother smokes and I'm so worried about, there's nothing I can do about that. So that's when I tell my clients to pause and activate safety in their frame, in their actual body. And we do that by utilizing their divine intelligence, their own body, to do that. So our bodies don't have free will. It's our mind and our soul that does. And if everything works in our body and we ask it to do something, it must comply. It's never going to say, you know what, Jen, I can raise my hand today, but I don't want to do it. It's just not. So what we do is we ask our divine intelligence simply to activate safety. And it sounds like this. Divine intelligence, fill my body with divine safety.
Ooh.
And you can tell I just took a breath, right? Right. And so you do that until you can feel the shift. And if you have to do that 1,000,000 times a minute, you do it 1,000,000 times a minute until your safety level rises.
That felt so good, even just hearing you say that.
I'm so glad.
I want to shift from this because this is a good shift. So, in that same sentence, when you were speaking, you went from worry and concern, and then you shifted to flow and abundance. And this is what we have to look forward to. Can you talk on flow and abundance? Because that just sounds
yummy,
wonderful.
Right? Right. Here's the thing. It is our natural state to be abundant and in the flow. Okay. Our energy is flowing all the time. It's a choice, and a choice based on circumstances and experiences, right? So so often people want abundance externally first before they can have it internally. In order to manifest it externally, you have to start to feel it internally. And so it's just taking a deep breath and tuning in and asking yourself, where is the seed of abundance inside of me? Right? So most people feel it in the heart. People might feel it in their stomach. And then you ask that seed to grow. right?
Okay.
And then you go, after you felt the seed to grow, what is my external task now? What do I do to receive more abundance? Most people try to do before they actually feel it internally. And so they keep being on that hamster wheel, because the doing and the being has to come first, and then you do.
Yes, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to take a moment to thank everyone who's here live listening. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We would appreciate it if you shared the video wherever you're watching us at, so we can get more eyes and ears on the content. If you're watching us on replay and you're coming across us a little later in the day, hashtag replay so we can send you some love. But I want to ask Jennifer, we have people watching live, we have people watching on the replay. They're obviously resonating with what you're saying. They've been hanging out with us for 30 minutes. What do you do? Who do you help? Who should be reaching out to you?
I help individuals who I call spiritual renegades. They're not going to do it like anyone else does it. They're considered the weirdo, the radical, the warrior. And I help them actually align their voice and their vision so they can receive. So if you want to create something big, if you feel like you're a master healer and kind of don't know how to go about actually bringing your big acts of service to the world and receiving from it, I'm for you. And on the site, there's a whole section for empaths. So I actually have tools that are designed for empaths, because it can be really debilitating having that gift and not knowing how to use it, or feeling burdened by it. And most empaths as children, then when they grow up, they've cut it off because it was too overwhelming as a child. And so they know it's there and they're feeling disconnected from themselves.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Where can people find you so they know who you help? They want to find you. Where are you? Where do you hang out on social media, website?
My website is soullanguage.us. Social media, I'm under my name or Soul Language. And then I have a private group called Spiritual Renegades. There are fantastic people in there, people doing amazing things. So you can find me in any of those places. I pick up my own phone. I answer my own email. So you could always send me a message or email me.
Very cool. Are you mainly on Facebook?
Yes.
Insta?
Facebook is my hangout. I've been posting a lot on Instagram, mostly about my dog. But I mean, she's just great. My whole TED talk was about spiritual lessons from the dog park. So I'm a dog mommy. And but Facebook is the easiest, and it's where I like to hang out. And you'll find a lot of groovy stuff from me on my personal page.
That is great. I'm going to connect you to my girl, Maureen Scanlon. She has 2 books. One of them is My Dog is My Relationship Coach. And the other one is My Dog Knows More About Relationships Than I Do, or something like that, or dating advice or something like that for my dog. You'll love her. She's all about her dogs too. You guys,
I love it. I mean, my first dog, I would say, she was my soulmate. Like, we were instant. And she taught me so much about loving and letting go, and really, not only giving love, because I was always really great at that, but also receiving it. That I wasn't so great about. But it was a giant love fest. And Heart, there were cousins. Heart now teaches me patience and really to let go, not be worried about what people think, or what other people idea or perfection is.
fantastic. And why do you do what you do?
I don't think I could do anything else. I really don't want people to suffer. I want people to feel connected. And the first time I spoke at a speaking engagement, I just talked about essential oils and life purpose. And I didn't even have a business. I was just talking for a friend of mine. And for her gig. And I stepped off the platform and people were lined up to talk to me. And I knew I could help them. I didn't have a structure then, but I knew I can help them. And I think that it's really important for people to utilize their intuition and their gifts and to do it with grace and harmony for themselves and to let go. And so that's why I do what I do. And it's fun. It's freaking fun. People should do more fun stuff.
Yes, I'm in an agreement with all of that. Well, Jennifer, this has been a delight. I totally learned some stuff, so I'm super excited.
Me
Was
too.
definitely not expecting this homework for me, but I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us and sharing so much awesomeness.
Thank you.
If you resonate with Jennifer, be sure to connect with her. Her website is soullanguage.us. She hangs out on Facebook. Instagram has her dog on it. We love to connect people here on this platform in order to make sure we all continue to rise. Jennifer, closing thoughts as we wrap up.
I want people to remember that they are enough. They are being their purpose, whether they get off their couch or not. And when you operate from a place of knowing you're enough, you not only change your world, but you change the world of others.
Yes. 100. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you for those of you watching live, those of you watching on the replay. We run live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and love content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you are. Follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share, reach out to me at hernation.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth, ideas, and stories in order to inspire others. Do something awesome today.